They are certainly undervalued and often neglected, but they are very important. What are we talking about? Tires, so essential for our safety. Let's see how we can always get the best performances.
Let's look at the benefits of correct tire pressure and the disadvantages of the wrong pressure. The reference values for a mid-sized car weighing around 1,300 to 1,500 kilos are reported in the table below. Pressure in excess of 7 psi above the recommended pressure leads to lower fuel consumption, but the disadvantages are clearly greater. Greater wear and tear of the central tire tread, so the tires cover far less kilometers. Reduced traction, obviously because we have a smaller tire footprint and therefore reduced safety in driving. With the correct tire pressure, as advised by the manufacturer for a full load, safety is also increased during emergency maneuvers. Uniform wear and tear of tires, which will allow us to cover more kilometers. And contained fuel consumption, in case of tire pressure 7 psi below the recommended level. In addition to having a vehicle with less traction in the curves and therefore more dangerous in difficult situations, for example on wet roads, we will also increase our fuel consumption, and wear and tear of the tires will be irregular, wearing out the sides, forcing us to change our tires earlier than necessary. If the pressure of our tires is significantly below the recommended pressure levels due to neglect by the driver or due to a leaky valve, or have a small puncture in the tire, in addition to the above-mentioned disadvantages, traction will be even more precarious and risk the tire coming off the rim. You have to remember that the pressure must be gauged when the tires are cold. If you measure the pressure when the tires are hot, the values increase by a few tenths of an atmosphere, and the increase is proportional to overheating in the tire. It is therefore clear that you should never drive on underinflated tires, even if they are only slightly underinflated. The most recent cars have a pressure sensor on each tire, which signals any pressure problems. If the pressure goes 20% below the normal pressure, a light will warn the driver, who can intervene rather than, perhaps, traveling many miles in potential danger. Remember that, under normal conditions, a tire will typically lose 1 pound of air per month. If you intend to park your car and do not use it for an extended period of time, you should inflate the tires by at least 7 or even 15 psi more than usual. In this way, you can avoid the so-called flat spot, the failure of tire casing, which occurs on car tires when the vehicle is laid up without moving for some time due to lack of rotation. Obviously, when we use the car again, we have to check tire pressure and bring it to the proper level. Driving on underinflated tires, whose pressure is lower than that recommended by the manufacturer, is not only inconvenient, but here at Driving Camp, as you have noticed, we take into account the tire pressure with full load. It's even better to inflate the tires just a little bit more than usual, for 2 reasons. First of all, the sidewall of the tire, the vertical part of the structure, will better maintain grip during cornering. Secondly, you will hardly perceive the decrease of the driving comfort, but you will save a good 1% in fuel consumption. This may not be a huge difference, but nowadays it's still an advantage. Obviously, if you drive on slightly underinflated tires, fuel consumption will increase. Now that we have learned how to deal with tires, and we have seen the amount of work the engine has to do in order to meet our needs, we are about to understand how to support it properly in every situation.